And now, a message from Gollum J. Trump.
Why did you lie to the American people? And why should they trust you now?
Such terrible questions as from filthy fake news Herbertses. No lies, no lies. Smeagol doesn't want to live a panics, no, not about the virus. Yes, not about the virus. Not about COVID, sis. But curse the fears, yes, we must fear the filthy anti-fish Herbertses. Stoke the fears for our agendas. But not about the other dangers, no, not them, no, Strongs. If Smeagol makes a panic, Smeagol can't suppress the stock market, and Smeagol needs the preciouses, yes, the preciouses.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that message from Gollum J. Trump, which I was able to do the intro for. Call me for all of your voiceover needs. I do a deep one. I do a light one. We do like a lot of them. You know, crazy range here.
Got range, man.
Yeah, got range for days. But welcome back. Sorry that 5-minute break turned into a 10-minute. We just wanted to make sure that we had everything, all of our ducks in a row, which we do now. It's going to go really smooth. This top Zen /5/deep Zen. It's gonna be magical. You're gonna enjoy it a lot. This week we're doing things a little differently. If you're a fan of the show, we usually have what we like to call a deep dive topic each week. Then we usually follow that up with a list curated by our top team of nerds. But this week we're doing things just a little differently, right? Like Beck Bennett's character from SNL, if you've ever seen, where he just thinks a little differently. But anyway, not only am I hosting, but we wanted to try something a little new. So without further ado, here's our list of best animes to watch while you are still on lockdown. And this isn't some list made by some, anime snobs that have been weebs their entire lives. Like, I think everybody on this is, we're just your normal weebs, right? Like, so these suggestions.
Safe space for Cook here, guys.
Weeb.
Yeah, we're just your average weebs. I don't think anyone here owns a body pillow. If they did, it doesn't matter. I wouldn't judge. I'm just saying this doesn't seem like the group that would. But it's one of those things where we really believe that everyone could enjoy pretty much every one of these animes. This is something that, we wanted to kind of put together as a list of some great ones that you can watch during quarantine. And so I honestly feel like, it is it's something that if you're looking for something new to watch, some of these have been around since the early 90s. So you can definitely and some of them have hundreds of episodes and maybe even thousands. I'm looking at you, Bleach. But anyway, let's go ahead and get kicked off. Kevin, what do you have at number 5 on your list?
Number 5. Yeah, so this is making the list just out of respect. DBZ. Dragon Ball Z, because who doesn't remember tuning into Toonami just to see Frieza and Goku fight for like 2 months? It's what most would call sort of the gateway into anime for most people. It certainly was for me. I didn't even know what the hell anime was as a kid. I just knew everything. I just thought it was a different cartoon style. But this was one of those shows where it's definitely an older show, so it doesn't necessarily hold up as well, in my opinion, now, considering how many great animes have come out and are still going. But again, just out of respect, I got to throw it in here for the classic childhood nostalgia, and for all of the cliffhangers. They are really sort of the king of cliffhangers. I can't tell you how many episodes have ended with Goku trying to, summon enough energy to do a damn spear bomb, So with that being said, Bron, what's your number 5?
Number 5 of my list is an oldie but a goodie, Rurouni Kenshin. This classic premiered in '96 and really helped set the stage for the genre. The older style and the animation, but it's so captivating still. I actually didn't watch it until later in my life, until I'd already kind of gotten into anime. And so I wasn't watching the early episodes when they were like coming out or anything, or I couldn't, I was too young. But the main character Kenshin is just such an effortless badass master swordsman with kind of a dicey past. He's a former assassin who's feared amongst all lands and kind of disappears for 10 years and then comes back and vows to never kill again and live this peaceful existence. And yeah, that kind of gets turned upside down as the turn of the show events, but still he sticks with his morals and is still able to help people. But it just his ease, and he just seems like this very like peaceful Zen person. But then when like a fight has to happen, he's like, oh yeah, like 2 swings of the sword, they're just like completely just on the floor. So I love that show. But what about you, Jake? What's your number 5?
Yeah, so honestly, like my number 5 is Attack on Titan. I love Attack on Titan, but it's probably going to be for a different reason than a lot of people believe. It's one of the weirdest fucking shows I've ever watched in my life. The first time I saw one of the giant-headed monsters just leaning over a wall, I was like, what the hell is going on? I've got to learn more. Eren is a decent protagonist, but Makasha is the GOAT, in my opinion. She is the most downest of down bitches you will ever meet in your life. And she will straight up dice somebody up with a blade. Total badass. And so love that show. I know it has a cult following. I've been to a Hot Topic before. But the truth of the matter is I just love the bizarreness of it all. It's one of those that has a ton of episodes too. So it'll have you watching for hours on end. And you won't want to wait, or you won't have to wait like a lot of the diehard fans had to. Because this was one of those shows that took a historically long wait for a long time. Oh yeah, and I saw someone in chat just shout out Commander Levi. That is that motherfucking dude too. Levi is so raw of an anime character. I mean, there's so many cool ones, and Aaron's like the lead character, and it's just like I get it. The protagonist isn't going to be the coolest character and everything, right? Like, but at the end of the day, this show has a lot of great characters. I feel like it's got a lot of episodes, not too many filler ones as well, which is something I think we can all enjoy in a bingeable anime, right? And so that's who I have on my number 5. But that's our 5s. We're going to keep it moving right along. Kevin, who do you got at your number 4?
Yeah, I got One Piece, my man Monkey D. Luffy, the Pirate King. What's great about this anime is it mixes action with irreverence. It doesn't take itself too seriously for how ridiculous it is. And also, it's a pirate anime. It's great. Who doesn't love pirates? Yeah. Despite all the pillaging and raiding. Well, but we'll gloss over that. Yeah, it's. I think the show is so eclectic. It has so much going on, and I think the theme of it is just something that is so ridiculous that they can do just about. And speaking from anime and we know how ridiculous shit can get in any anime. This just goes over the top with a lot of the things. Just with one of the you can't really put a finger on what the abilities are. They're just everyone's just fucking super strong and can do pretty much anything. It's very imaginative in that right. So I just kind of like how there's no real boundaries in this other than they just sail around and do pirate shit. So
no, and that's that's pretty cool in itself.
right. And I just started watching this. I saw it was on Netflix. I have a friend who's like a huge One Piece fan, and I was like, and I keep hearing things about it. So I was like, let me give this a try. And I'm still fresh in. I'm still early on in, but I got a long way to go because it's been running since 1999. And has over 900 episodes, so got plenty to binge. Oh
my god!
Damn! Yeah. So my little jab at Bleach was actually meant for One Piece.
Yeah, they're both up there. I was waiting for that one. So.
Yeah.
Brian, what's your number 4?
Speaking of Bleach, that's my number 4. Sexy Soul Reaper, need I say more? Despite crushing on Ichigo in my adolescence, though, the reason why this series gets a spot on my list is because I think it's able to balance badass fight scenes and the compelling storyline, complex arcs, interesting characters, all of that it has. And it's a little bit more of the darker style, which I like. The battles also have stakes. That's one thing I really love about this show. The heroes aren't these untouchable, godlike creatures. They're put in the ringer often, and the fight scenes have you gripping at the edge of your seats. But yeah, I know that we have other Jake, you watch Bleach too, right?
I've definitely seen a couple episodes of Bleach. I've got to make my way. Like it's one of those where I've like thrown on in the background and accidentally fallen asleep before. And so I actually need to finish it. I think it's on my most recent or one of my recent watches on Hulu or something, like wherever I was watching it at last. I'll have to go back in and find it.
Just don't watch the live action movie.
Oh, I mean, dude, we could actually
any anime live.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's another list for another day, Bronwyn. We could go into the shit shows that have been live action anime movies, but
God.
oh man.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So what's your number 4? Moving this list along.
Yeah, so my number 4 is One Punch. The go-to anime suggestion for people who have never watched anime. The tropes are amazing, and the OP-ness of Sadama is just it's unmatched, right? Like the first time I watched this show, I was like, I wonder why it's called One Punch. Why do you call it One Punch Man? And then he just one punches fucking something and annihilates it, and I'm just like, oh, okay, I fucks with that. And so this show had me immediately hooked. It's so funny. And even though many fans have complained about the animation changing, I'm no snob, and I really didn't even notice it. So, you can go ahead and hate on me all you want in the chat, but I really didn't understand the big deal whenever they changed from season 1 to season 2. I couldn't really tell a huge difference. And the show's just really started to come into its own. The characters are really starting to get fleshed out. Every time you hear this long-winded, Genos will make this like long-winded anime speech about how he's going to let down the master and everything. And then, Sadama just comes up and just punches it once. The fight's over and everybody moves on with their life. Right. And so, what's going to happen every episode. Yeah, you tune in every episode because you love it when it finally happens. And so One Punch, it definitely made my it makes my top 5. It makes my top 10. It's one of my favorite animes of all time. Don't get too invested though. This one takes some hella long breaks. Season 1 took forever. Season 2 I think it's like season 2 was like cut into halves, and the first half of season 2 came out like earlier I want to say it was the end of last year or the beginning of this year. But obviously time is, just kind of like a wrinkle right now or whatever the fuck it's the Fugazi. And so, but anyway, that's our number 4s. Let's keep this party moving with our number 3s. Kevin, what makes your number 3 spot?
Number 3 is Kenichi the Mightiest Disciple. I stumbled upon this anime from a friend who showed me this very stout, large, blonde man kicking open the ocean and then beating the shit out of the sharks. I was like, oh, I got to watch this. Essentially what it follows a young protagonist, Kenichi Shirahama, who's basically a second-year high school student, and he gets bullied a lot, as is the backdrop for most sort of animes. And essentially to learn how to defend himself, one of his contemporaries, Miyu Furujini, sort of takes him to her home / basically martial arts camp, which is run by her grandfather, which hosts a cast of characters who know all or are masters of all types of martial arts, from karate, jiu-jitsu, Chinese martial arts, Muay Thai, and weapons. And they agree to sort of teach these things to him because they realize he doesn't have any killer intent. And he goes through this whole journey of learning each sort of style and the sort of the tropes of each of these characters. It's great. I remember the Muay Thai guy is like, he's this extremely large man. He's only like 18 and he has a very high pitched voice, but he's like a beast at Muay Thai. And it's just great. So you get to watch sort of, it's also kind of a coming of age story too. So it's kind of has that sort of thing going on, but it's a really great sort of underdog story. And, I've only seen season 1 because I believe that was the only one that was released as a very short anime. The manga has still been going on, but as far as anime, I think there's only been 1 or 2 seasons so far. So, but I definitely need to pick that back up if there is a second season. But yeah, nice. Bronwyn, where are you at number 3?
My number 3 is Samurai Champloo, by the same creators as Cowboy Bebop. So it's like similar in that animation style and just like general cool vibiness. The show takes place in the Edo era of Japan, but fuses it with a modern day and like pulling in a lot of hip hop aesthetics with the music, with the styling, and it's just beautifully choreographed and everything. is aesthetically beautiful. The music pulled me into the show initially, and if you're on the fence about watching this, I would just like look up the title sequence, like the intro on YouTube, and you'll be like instantly drawn in. It's a really short series too. There's only 26 episodes, so you can binge it really quickly. It's definitely really high up on my list. If you like Cowboy Bebop, you'll really love it, especially that kind of animation. So yeah. How about you, Jake? What's your number 3?
Wow, yeah, no, my number 3 on the list is also one of the first animes that I binged. It is Death Note. It began airing in Japan on October 3rd, 2006, and finished its run in 2007. This show is only about 37 20-minute episodes deep, so you can definitely binge it all in one weekend if you're really trying. And you'll want to, because once you get started, you will want to watch it until it ends. It's a constant roller coaster of a back and forth mouse or cat and mouse style, like, game of detective of, who's going to get him. And so it's super intense, and it'll have you questioning your moral code the whole time. You'll be wondering, like, what is justice? Who would I write in this book? And so it's just one of those where it's a phenomenal anime and one of the best ever made, in my opinion. I do not suggest the Netflix movie, though. This is another one that the live action kind of was pretty terrible. Though it was saved by a dope William Dafoe voiced Rahuk, which is always something that I think people could look forward to.
Dafoe.
Oh yeah, Dafoe. I'm so glad that he's still out there kicking ass and taking names. That dude's been amazing. Speaking of Lighthouse, right? We mentioned that earlier. So.
Yeah.
But that's all for our number 3s. And for a lack of better wording, let's get on to number 2. Kev, who do you got as the deuce on your list?
Yeah, at number 2, I'm staying with my personals here. So number 2 for me is, believe it or not, Yu-Gi-Oh! Ready to raise some eyebrows with this one. So I wouldn't have put this on my list, but I recently went back and started watching this again from its entirety. And holy shit, this is a very dark show. And this was initially aired on a kids show, but if you watch it in its actual Japanese version, it's pretty dark. There's actually one point where this guy loses a duel to Pegasus and pulls a gun on him. Like, yeah,
no, we're talking about a show
around
that's
that
like
when I said about cards. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, it's a card game basically, and it's called Duel Monsters. But the difference is that there's ties to ancient Egypt. The character Yugi has sort of put together this what's called a Millennium Puzzle. It's these ancient relics that sort of have sort of mysticism and grant you different abilities and power. Yugi's is ultimate tied to, spoiler alert, the former pharaoh of Egypt, who was also known as sort of the king of master of such. And it's like I didn't really understand it at the time as a kid, but there's a lot of duels where they're like literally like dueling for each other's souls. Like I remember I watched one episode where Yugi beat this guy and then he did something and said Oblivion, and then the guy was just gone. I had to pause. I had to like text my friend. I was like, wait a minute, did he just kill him? Like what happened here? Like this is a card game. But yeah, I think and I think what's also fun and why it makes my number 2 list is that it's parallel with the actual card game that is in real life, that is the game that they're actually playing in the show, which also has a bit of fanfare around it as well. So it's kind of a brilliant kind of a marketing and product move on their side. But it wouldn't have even made my top 5, probably not top 10 had I not started watching it again. And again, this is more of a personal list for me, so I just bumped it up here to 2. And Bron, where are you at with your number 2?
My number 2 is Naruto. And so from the intricate world here, the characters, the lore, everything that makes up the show is just so incredible. I feel like you really grow up with Naruto throughout the whole show, from when he's this little shit that you never think that you're going to root for, and then you go with him on this journey. It's such a vast world with unique attributes, and everyone's stories kind of intertwine in interesting ways. Even the supposed filler episodes I always found really interesting too. So there's never a lull in this show. I named my first cat Jiraiya. I love this show so much. This used to be something that I would binge it So I was like, whenever I'd go and have a night of like partying or something and I needed a recovery day, I'd just like sit in my bed and like eat ramen and watch Naruto and like recharge after like a crazy night or something. So it always just like holds a really fond place in my heart. Definitely one of the tops on my list. But Jake, what's your number 2?
No, it's definitely an iconic one. You always see people Naruto running everywhere. I Naruto run from room to room just because it's the fastest way to get from point A to point.
It really is.
But number 2 on my list is My Hero Academia. All Might is my favorite anime character of all time. Period. He's the GOAT. All Might will take on anybody. I mean. So Sadama, I don't know. Like he's perfect. He's made to beat people in one punch. So
Sadama doesn't count. He doesn't.
Yeah,
count.
I don't. Yeah, he doesn't count. He doesn't count. He's made to beat people in
literally
one punch.
Spoof.
So like, yeah, he's merely there just to like throw people off. And so if you put All Might toe to toe with anybody else, I think All Might's taking it. That's my fucking dude. All Might is so dope. He legit made up for Deku's constantly crying throughout the earlier seasons. I, at one point, wanted to call this show Guy in Green Suit Cries a Lot. But he made up for his total badassness. The characters are great. There's so many unique heroes and villains with unique quirks that it's hard to get bored with the show. Every time you feel like you've seen something, there's a new quirk that comes out that you're just like, holy shit, like that's pretty crazy, pretty cool. The fights are amazing. And there's not that many filler episodes as of yet that I've noticed in the seasons. There's definitely 1 or 2 here and there, right? Like I think some of the festival episodes of this last season were actually, I say that, and then now I'm going to retract that statement because this entire last season felt like a filler episode. But anyway, just kidding. There was a couple of cool fights. But this has been one of the few animes that actually got me into a movie theater. The All Might like hero story, whatever, like that came out not too long ago. I was actually one of the first people to go see that shit in theaters. I was so stoked for it. But that's just that's just me. This is number 2 on my list. Like you said earlier, Kevin, this is kind of our personal opinions. So like, I know a lot of people would probably want this ranked either a little higher or a little lower, because some people think that My Hero is a little bit over kind of like hyped, if you will. I don't really see that. I think it's a great fucking show. I think it's awesome. The stories are great. But that is it for our number 2s. Now it's time to announce our panel's number 1 picks, the cream of the crop from our crew of weebs here. Kevin, let the people know who stole your heart. Who do you got at number 1 on your list?
Yeah, number 1. Sorry, Braun, but I'm gonna have to go with Naruto. Plot armor aside, and Yugi also had plot armor too, but that's a different debate for another time. It's something about this show. I don't know what it is. It's like it's magic in a way. Like the characters are eclectic, all the abilities, the lore. Like you kind of get lost in it. Like I want to be a shinobi too. Like
Yeah.
It's and a lot of sort of the philosophical quandaries that they have with the episode. whether it be sort of Itachi's existential dread and his sort of philosophy on life and his motives and his actions and Naruto's actions, Sasuke's. Just there's sort of this great yin and yang balance between that happens on the show, despite how some people would say how it ended. But to me, I just think it's like I still go back and rewatch it. I'll go through a certain stage. Like I want to see, I want to watch Pain's story arc again, or I want to watch the Itachi stuff or the Kakashi stuff. Like there's so many different story arcs going on. The only knock on it for me, of course, and that's with most shows and anime, is the filler episodes. And some of the filler episodes are pretty lit. They're pretty cool. But it's the main plot is so great. It's juicy. You just want to get back to it. And this is really a show that influenced me so much that like you, Braun, I was just sitting there eating ramen, watching this show. So much so that I fell in love with ramen. I'm somewhat of a I told myself as somewhat of a ramen connoisseur. This is where my love for the meal and cuisine kind of came from, and make it myself now. And it's just, again, it's just one of these shows that I still go back and watch and sort of like, and like outside of like some of the ideology of the show and elements of it kind of inspire me in my everyday life. It's weird. It kind of has that kind of influence and impact on me. But the Naruto's my GOAT. What about you, Braun?
Yeah, so I actually had to look up GOAT because Jake kept on saying it, and I just learned what that meant like 2 seconds ago. I'm like, what is? I've heard
the
of
greatest of all time.
But my GOAT is Death Note. Oh my God, that rhymed.
Bars.
Bars.
So yes, this is a total battle of wits. It has you questioning your own morality, what is good, what is evil, and this kind of battle of supposed good versus evil. I like how dark the show is, both in the animation style and just conceptually. It's just a very kind of heavy show aimed at kind of an older audience, but I love that. And it's just I binged this when I first watched it, and I've seen it probably 3 times since, just because I want to show it to other people. It's one of those shows where you want to share it, and then once somebody watches the first episode, they're hooked. So you're like, okay, fine, this is what's happening tonight. We're gonna watch Death Note. So if you haven't seen this, you need to, and I recommend watching the just the subbed version, because I think that the voice acting in this too is also really amazing.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So that's my number 1.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, that brings it to my number 1. Last but certainly not least on this list, Yu Yu Hakusho. It's one that I think, a lot of people, I don't want to say a lot of people sleep on it, because everybody knows about Yu Yu, right?
Yeah,
like,
Yu Yu.
Holy shit. Like, where do I start with this? It's by far one of my favorite animes of all time. Unlike many Toonami, like Toonami kids that grew up, like running home after school to try to catch Yu Yu. I wasn't stoked for DBZ. I mean, I was, don't get me wrong, right? But the real one that I was there to watch was Yu Yu. This series consists of 112 episodes and originally aired in October 10th, 1992 to January 7th, 1995. So before many of you were probably born. The Dark Tournament is iconic and set the tone for a lot of anime to come after that. I personally believe that if it's not for the Dark Tournament, we wouldn't have some of the amazing tournament arcs that we have in some of the more modern anime takes, right? It kind of like made tournaments, in my opinion. And so I tell people all the time to go back and watch this. Yusuke Urameshi is one of my favorite characters. Like, as far as like to watch him evolve from this just like kind of punk kid that, like really you feel like he doesn't really have too much of an ethics or too much of a code or anything like that. You really find out like he's got a heart of gold. Yusuke is like he's a real like legitimate hero, and so it's just one of those that I highly suggest anybody watch, especially while you've got time over quarantine. There aren't any filler episodes in the show, from what I could tell whenever I was watching it through. I felt like it's an absolute banger each episode from intro to outro. Right? Like the intro is even an absolute banger. And so it's a great show. You will not regret watching it. And you can come back here and tell me how much you loved it after you do. And so, but that about wraps it up. Do you guys think we missed anyone? Anyone that you would add to the list? What is your favorite anime to binge during this quarantine? Make sure that you sound out in our chat. You let us know. You send us messages. We'll do a poll on Twitter. We'll throw something together. We'll see which one of our lists that you like the most, but then also we'll try to see which ones we may have missed so we can give those a shout out next time. Honestly, I think we all could have made the list bigger than 5, right?
Right. Yeah,
And so, and there was only a few that overlapped, and so like it's really surprising. I'm glad we had multiple people with Naruto, multiple people with Death Note. We would have had multiple people with DBZ if this would have been like a top 10, because I definitely have DBZ and those in my top 10, and so
yeah.
But any honorable mentions before we head out, guys? Anybody that you want to give a shout out to? Let them know that they need to check it out. I know we see somebody in the. What was that?
Full Metal Alchemist.
Yes, Full Metal Alchemist.
Full Metal Alchemist. I saw someone. Yeah, Brotherhood. Obviously, Brotherhood's the one that a lot of people shout out, and so Full Metal Alchemist is a huge one.
Sword Art Online.
Sword Art Online. No, I've got to check that one out too.
Yeah, it's great. It's kind of like it's got the existential dread of like Westworld, but it's great.
Oh wow, no, that's definitely. I mean, touted up there with Westworld. What is the I am drawing a blank on the name of it right now. I'm trying to think of it. The fucking, dude, Assassin's
Food Wars.
Dude, what is the Assassin's Academy or whatever the fuck it is?
Oh,
Jesus, I keep trying to say My Hero Academia, but it's not. With the fucking weird octopus alien guy. Damn it, dude. That's gonna really bother me, guys. Anyway,
I know.
Assassination Classroom, I think's the name of it. That may be it. Anyway.
Maybe. Yes. Yeah. Assassination Classroom. You're right.
Okay, dope, nice. That one
Yeah.
is definitely one of my gets a shout out from me. I loved it. I saw Dodd put in the chat, Pokemon, definitely Pokemon. I mean, Pokemon's iconic. It's an iconic
It
anime.
is. It is.
You know
Wait,
what-
he
It
said
is.
not Pokemon.
Oh, not Pokemon.
No, okay.
You know, it was I get into back and forths all the time with Avatar. You know, because a lot of people don't consider Avatar to be an anime. I know it's not because of its
Yeah.
art style, really, but like, come on,
Yeah.
it's close. You know.
Yeah. There's one that I need to catch that one of my friends has been actually a bunch of them have been recommending called God of High School apparently, and apparently that's a Korean anime. It's voiced in Japanese too, but apparently that's been getting a lot. It's new. It just started, so it's episodic at this point. But yeah, apparently that's been getting a lot of good press too.
Nice. And a good Netflix banger is Castlevania.
Really
If you guys haven't checked out Castlevania, definitely give it a watch.
nice.
In
And so-
chat, Jesse just said Sailor Moon and Fully Cooley, and I totally agree with those two.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sailor Moon, we had actually, it's funny, we've been watching Sailor Moon, and so it's not bad. I think I said that on one of the other episodes. I never watched it as a kid, so rewatching it as an adult, not terrible.
Yeah.
Jake hates it.
Yeah, at least it's not enough
I just said it's
action.
not terrible. I just told everybody. No, like I don't hate it. It's definitely got some drawn out parts, you know, like
Like
I
the
mean,
changing sequences.
yeah, the changing sequence. It's like, dude, the people said, you know, what can we do that's going to take a good 10 minutes out of each episode? You know, like
We'll repeat these same changing scenes.
exactly. It's, I mean, I'm just saying it's a little lazy, but anyway. Well, that about wraps it up for this week's episode of Geek Life. I knew it was going to be a little bit quicker of one this week because we kind of did a deep zen, if you will. But I think it was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Anyway. We didn't really have any newest subscribers, I think. I think we already gave a shout out to our newest followers, Ors Kid, Ors Wiz Kid, and Vastu Induik, whatever. But anyway, so
Welcome.
thank you for following us. Thanks for joining us this week, everyone. And if you liked today's show and you liked anything, you can follow us, of course, on all of our socials, which is at Geek Life Live, also at Geek Life Graham on the Grams. And if you liked anything you heard from us and you want to kind of like just directly message Kevin and let him know that you were very upset with his list, you can find him where, Kevin?
Yeah, you can find me at Kevin Todd Jr. Please hit me with a DM. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm ready.
One-on-one. And where can they find you at if they want to argue with you about your picks, Bronwyn?
You can find me at Space Nymph.
Awesome. So yeah, be sure to send us direct messages and just let us know. Just let us know you hated everything about our list or you loved it. You know, we can definitely talk anime all day. I don't want to keep us too much later. And so you can check out more Geek Life content on our YouTube, our Instagram. Links will all be in the description below. Big shout out to our moderator tonight, which was pretty much Dodson.
Yeah,
so
shout
thanks
out
for moderating, Dodd. And thanks everybody for tuning in. Fattest Sax, Jesse Sims, Worst Bane, Sag Gaming. I know we saw a lot of people back this week, so it's great to see some of the names. I know we took a break. We'll probably take a few of those every now and then, but it's just because we all got stuff going on. Me and Dodd were moving. Everybody's doing different things. It's 2020.
Yeah, and something cool we did during the break was put everything on YouTube.
We did.
Yeah.
And so we have tons of content for you guys to catch up on. So if you're looking for more Geek Life, if you're just jonesing, definitely check it out. And yeah, as Dodd said in the chat, fucking vote. We got a vote coming up. Yes,
Vote.
go vote.
Save
Vote or
the country.
die.
Save the trees. Save it all.
Take it off. This literally the world is on your shoulders. If you're listening to this, it's up to you. Get out there, fucking vote. Let's get it. And so, thank you all. We'll be back next week, same place, same time. Till then, peace, everyone.
Peace.